Hey you guys, welcome back to the channel. It's Trey and I want to talk about Q Force because Q Force came out yesterday and let's just say yikes. And it's kind of funny because it's the last week and a couple of more days Pride Month will end, and Netflix decided that they should release a trailer called Q Force. And Q Force is basically a bunch of super spies who are part of the LGBT community, and they are all going to team up to show the spy world that just because they're gay, they can be spies too. And I mean, hey, do you? To be honest, but this show, the trailer looked so much like cringe, so trashy, so tacky. I mean, everybody done seen it. It's gotten downvote to hell and back. The LGBT community is having a shit fit about it because it's such a poor taste of representation. And I just got to be like, I just have to laugh about the whole situation. The reason why I want to laugh about this whole situation is because this is what happens when you beg for representation in media. They go extreme with representation. They don't know how to represent correctly. Ever since we've got into the 2010s, they don't know how to actually bring in, you know, representation without it being so far down the extreme that it turns people off. This show right here is probably for straight people to laugh at. This show is literally made for people who are not part of the LGBT community to laugh at this show, make fun of the LGBT community, and maybe people who are homophobes, who are actually truly homophobic people or whatever, or just don't like gay people in general. And what makes this even funnier is the fact that everybody that's working on the show is LGBT. Like, make that make sense. Make that make sense. When you get a group, you get people from the LGBT community to do work on a LGBT themed representation show or whatever, and it goes completely awry or whatever. But at the same time, this goes back to my theory about where you have the people from the LGBT community, or you have people from different representation of minorities or whatever, always begging for for representation. And when they do give y'all representation, you don't like the representation that they give you, or you choose to ignore it, or you're not aware of it and stuff like that. And it kind of be like, hey, they gave you something, you asked for it. Yes, is it in the right way? No, it's not. I agree, it is not. It is cringe, and it's kind of freaking gross, to be honest, because some of the words that they were saying, again, not familiar with any of these words that they were like saying, like I don't get it. I know people probably do get it, and somebody will probably explain to me in the comment section, or if somebody else will talk about it or whatever, they'll probably break down what these words mean or whatever, or the way they're talking or whatever. But a lot of it I didn't understand. The only thing that was really weird was the fat black, I don't even know if it's a girl or a guy, but it had Wanda Sykes' voice, said "Don't get me hard," like why they're climbing up the building. And the purple hair guy, when the guy busted in the room and he said he wasted his masculinity for no reason and whatever, and he said, "No, you didn't. My butthole said boop," or something like that. And I was just like, what the fuck is this? This is weird. Weird. Like, but yeah, no, this, but at the same time, you get what you ask for. You do. You really do get what you ask for. And there is no shade, but the whole world is so obsessed with representation, diversity, or whatever. When we get it, it never comes in the way we want it. That's why you should never ask or push or pressure these corporations and companies to give representation, because they don't know how to do representation correctly. They have to do the extremes or whatever. That's why we're getting so many race swap of characters, gender swap of characters, sexuality changes of characters, whatever, because people were begging for representation so much that Hollywood and corporations took the extreme and was like, hey, wouldn't it be cool if we go this extreme with it, instead of actually putting true, organic, diverse things that used to be here before the 2010s. That's the crap that's confusing me. This stuff was already here before 2010s, and yet when we get to the 2010s, people act like diversity ain't never existed. And now we get shit like this. We get shit like Q-Force, because it's just like, what is the purpose of this show? I mean, and then some people were telling me that there was, Netflix tried this before with a drag queen superhero team. I don't know what it was called. I don't care to really know about it. That sounds terrible. It really sounds terrible. At some point, these corporations gotta stop trying to pander or whatever. And what makes it even worse is that it's from people within the own community that are pandering. It's the same thing when I had mentioned my video about black creators being lazy and going for the whole racism nonsense. If all you do is think about the stereotypical superficial stuff of us being black, just like the same thing with the LGBT people that created this show, if you only think about the stereotypical versions of being gay and out or whatever and stuff like that, that's the stuff that turns people off. You can't keep focusing on the stereotypes of being a person of color or part of the LGBT community, because that's the stuff that turns people off. Because you can, yes, there are some stereotypes, yes, you can play onto them, but a lot of you guys don't know how to play on it. You have to go extreme, and you do stuff like this where this turns people off. This literally turns people off. And I mean, hey, again, you get what you ask for. People were complaining, crying, saying we need more representation in media. We need representation in every damn thing or whatever and stuff like that. Which in truth, no, you don't. No, you really don't. But since you asked for it, they delivered. Now people don't like it. Of course not. What do you think people who aren't part of the LGBT community been saying for the longest time, or people who are not those minorities been saying, hey, we don't like these forced pandering, diversity, inclusion bullcrap, because you guys don't know how to do it naturally. You guys have to go extreme with it. Hey, welcome to the club, LGBT people. You're getting exactly what you've been begging for. Because guess what? They listen to Twitter. They listen to those widows on Twitter, because Twitter runs the world, apparently. Companies buckled to Twitter when that's not majority of the world. But guess what? This is the people that they look at. Why do you think we got this kind of show? Because they saw that people were tweeting all this crazy nonsense and was like, yep, we need to definitely do a show like this because it'll get the LGBT people over there. And then had the nerve at the end of the joke was talking about, don't pander to the gay community. They can smell it a mile a minute. Well, guess what? They just did. Your show literally is pandering to the LGBT community by LGBT community that was just produced by Netflix. Make that make sense. Make that make sense. A group of LGBT creators, writers, artists, and actors decided to get together, make a gay show, put it on Netflix, did a trailer, hopefully you'll like it, and got major backlash. And what? I don't know what people could have expected. I mean, what, you thought people were just gonna like it just because? I mean, maybe if you released it in the first day or the first week of Pride Month, maybe people might be more accepting of it or whatever. But to be honest, no offense, it really looks homophobic. So shocker. People from the LGBT community must have some internalized homophobia, I guess, because I don't know. To me, the show comes off very stereotypical gayness and homophobic. And again, it was people who were part of the LGBT community who worked on the show, but it really does come off very homophobic. Like they're making fun of people. I don't understand. I mean, I don't, since I don't have Twitter, so I don't really know. I don't read up on everything that happens on Twitter because, like I said, Twitter is a toxic fest that I'm just not going on at all. But it just kind of makes you wonder, like, dang, what is this? What is this? Like, you really thought that this was a good idea, you know? I mean, I'm sorry, LGBT people, but this is the extremes that people go through when they want representation, and it sucks. It sucks because I think this does more damage to the LGBT community than it does positive. All it's going to do is turn more people off again because once again, these companies in Hollywood have no chill mode. They don't know how to do things organically or quietly or whatever, stuff like that. They got to go to the extremes, and it turns people off. It turns people off, and trying to force it in every facet of the media just kills any kind of acceptance for it. I'm quite sure the LGBT community is probably up in arms about this terrible, trashy ass trailer for this show, and I hope Netflix look at this and be like, hey, maybe we probably shouldn't have went so far or whatever. Whoever they're listening to, stop listening to them. You could have made a show. You could have made a show that was about gay, gay secret agents. Even though I wouldn't team them up because it's just not organically realistic. But hey, you do you. I'm just trying to figure out, like, where do we go from here? Because each month it seems, even without Pride Month, each month they go extremer and they do more, and then you already know when next Pride Month comes, it's going to be even more extreme. Something's going to have to give. There's going to have to be a balancing thing between Hollywood and the LGBT community themselves. There's going to have to be some takes and there's going to have to be some sacrifices. But this right here, I don't know if this was a good idea. But that's just me looking from the inside. I'm not saying that it's probably not going to be a good show, but I don't know who would sit there and watch it though. And I'm not even talking about straight people. I'm talking about LGBT people. I don't know who from the community would really sit there and be like, this show is amazing. I mean, I might be wrong, but I'm just saying, I couldn't see it. I couldn't see it. I see more LGBT people getting turned off more so than excited for it. But I might be wrong. But yeah, those are my thoughts. Tell me what you guys think in the comment section below. Are you guys excited for Q4s? Are you going to watch it or whatever and stuff like that? If not, that's cool, because I know I'm most likely not going to watch it. I'm just making the video because it's just kind of interesting how everything just done happened right now with this entire show. But yeah, those are my thoughts. Tell me what you guys think in the comment section below, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace out.